Hey everybody, welcome back to Luke's Garage. Today we're going to be installing a lift on my buddy Tyler's Jeep. It's going to be a good day. Any day you put a lift on a Jeep is a good day. Let's get to the fun stuff.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Tyler. Today we're going to be doing a 2.5-inch lift for a Wrangler JL 2018 through 2020. Right here we have our front springs, we have our back springs, we have our end links, additional bump stops for the front, for the back, some extra hardware, and of course our shocks for the front and back.
Okay, Tyler has chalked up the front tires so the Jeep can't roll when we have the rear end jacked up. Now what we're going to do is remove that tire and the other tire, get the rear end of this Jeep up off the ground so we can get the suspension kit installed on the back side first. The first thing we're going to do is put our jack stands underneath the frame of the vehicle on each side. So then it will be up off the ground. We can remove these tires, and then I can use my floor jack to raise and lower the axle of the vehicle as we get it disconnected. The first thing we're going to do is remove this 13mm brake line bracket bolt, and that will be on the first side that we're going to work on. Using an 18mm socket, we will remove the rear shock lower bolt. Next, we'll remove this inner wheel well plastic so we can get at the top bolt on the shock and remove the shock completely out of here. Now we'll remove the sway bar end link. So there is a nut right there, and then there is one down at the bottom. The top bolt that you remove on the sway bar end link, the end of it takes an Allen wrench, and then the actual box wrench you're going to use is an 18mm. The bottom bolt on the end link takes an 18mm open box wrench, and then I'm using an 18mm socket to take this bolt out. On the driver's side rear of the car, this is the track bar location that you want to remove it. So on the front it's the passenger side, on the rear it is the driver's side. On the passenger side, we're removing all of the other components that we just removed on the driver's side so that when we lower this axle, everything will come down equally. So there is our new spring versus our old spring. You see you gain about 2.5 inches, and obviously new shock versus old shock. Next we'll install the bump stop. So the orientation that the bump stop goes in here is on this flat surface. You want the mounting holes down, and then the other mounting holes you want them facing out towards the rotor. The hardware for the bump stop is a washer underneath with the bolt, and then the nut fits on top. Our next step is to install our new spring and the bump stop, so we want to make sure that that's in there. Next we'll put in the shocks, we have the springs in on both sides, and they are tensioned up. The new rear end link gets some of the brand new hardware that shipped with this kit. A lot of this you actually use the old hardware, but for these new end links you use these new bolts for them. This is how the new end links are installed, with the bolt head facing out towards the hub. Here's the rear end complete. We have the new spring in place, we have our bump stop in place, we have our new end link in place, and we have our new shock in place. Everything is exactly where it went before, just a little bit longer, a little bit taller. So far it looks good. Now we just have to move to the front of the vehicle. Okay, we got our flip around, and as you can see, the lift difference between the rear looks so much better. Now we're going to do the front of the vehicle. So this puppy will get raised another 2.5 inches, and then we'll have a final product and actually see how it looks out in the sunshine. On the front of the vehicle passenger side, you want to remove this bolt, and that is the track bar. You don't need to remove the opposite side, just on the passenger side. On the front springs, as you can see, you have to put your bump stop in with the spring at the same time. So what we'll do is tighten this bolt down, and then we can lift the differential back up, and it will compress the spring. Now that we have our new shock, our new spring, our new tie rod end, everything is in place, we need to take our track bar and actually pull the differential this way so that our track bar will realign with this hole. And the way we'll do that is with a ratchet strap. So we've got this guy right here on the ground, so we'll get that hooked up and pull that over so it aligns, and we can put this last remaining bolt in place. Before we pull this axle over, I removed my floor jack so that it's basically hanging just by all the new parts that we reinstalled. So we'll get our ratchet strap hooked back up, and we'll pull the axle over so that we can realign that hole with the track bar. No, a little more. Got it. So where we hooked our ratchet strap up was right here on the passenger side knuckle, and then as you can see on the front side of the car, we hooked up to the frame and ratcheted over across towards the other side of the car, and it pulled it into place. Here is the finished suspension. Everything is in place. Now we will take this thing out to the desert and try out the new suspension.